So we are so happy to have everybody in here, and we see some new faces that just snuck in. Don Graves is a great friend of mine. He's a young 96-year-old. He is more active than anybody else that I know of, like anyway. So he is a Marine who served during World War II and is an Iwo Jima survivor, and he's here to share his story with us. So Don?
All of a sudden, the announcer comes on and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this broadcast. The President of the United States is going to address the nation." He said, "What's this all about?" I mean, we had heard about Pearl Harbor. Didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. Never heard of it. And Mr. Roosevelt came on. And President Roosevelt was our hero. He went through the war with us. When we boarded ship after we fought the Battle of Iwo Jima, it was announced over the air, "Now hear this, all hands. The old man is dead." Roosevelt died with a cerebral hemorrhage. You could have heard anything hit the deck. We were dead silent. We didn't know what we were going to do. We loved our president. Well, let me just say this. Roosevelt came on, and this is what he said, and I will never forget it. "Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked upon by the naval and armed forces of the Empire of Japan. I interpret the will of Congress and of the people. We shall gain triumphant victory, so help us God." I said, "I'm going down and join the Marine Corps." I said, "I'm skipping school. I'm all done with it." I told my kid's sister and brother, "Don't say one word to Mom. I'm going down to the federal building, and I'm going to get the papers for the Marine Corps." My dad was a Marine. I saw all the Hollywood Marines, Jimmy Cagney, Pat O'Brien, all of them. They all played Marines in movies. I said, "That's what I'm going to be someday." Well, I ran all the way downtown Detroit, about a mile and a half, ran up on the 4th floor of the federal building, and there's a gunny sergeant standing there. He says, "What can I do for you, young fella?" I said, "I want to join up." He said, "How old are you?" I said, "I just turned 17. He says, "I can take you. What about your parents?" I said, "Well, I got to work on that. My dad will sign, but my mother won't." He said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a paper. Take it home. Get them both to sign that, bring it back, and we can do business." He said, "You want to do that?" I said, "Yes, sir." Took off. Ran all the way home. I was so excited, folks. I forgot I skipped school. I ran in the back door. My mom's doing something in the kitchen. "What are you doing home?" I says, "Oh my gosh, I forgot." And she was a 4'10½" lady, and she was an Irish. Her family were all Irish. And I said, "Mom," I told her all about it. She says, "You're not going in. I went through this before. I'm not going through this one. I don't want any more to talk about." I said, "Mom, I want you to sign those papers. Just throw it away." I went in the dining room, stuck it in the buffet drawer, put papers on top. My dad wasn't a good father. He wasn't home at that time. Well, about 2 weeks later, in comes my father, and I said, "Dad," I said, "I'm joining the Corps." He says, "Good." He was a Corps. He was a Marine. And I said, "Ma won't sign." He said, "Yeah, let me talk to her." So he went over to her and he said, "Vera, listen to me. The boy quit school. He's doing odd jobs now. He'll probably turn out to be a bum." And I did this. Just give me the paper. Signed the paper. "There, I hope you're happy now." I smiled. My dad signed it. I went out the back door, and I headed down to the gunny again, and I said, "Sergeant, I got it." He said, "Let me see that." "Okay, real good. Now listen, See that door over there? No, some of you jarheads you know what I'm talking about. Maybe perhaps the Army and Navy. But he said, see that door there? I said, yes, sir. He said, you're going in there, and you're going to meet a medical Navy doctor. And he's going to go over you from the top of your head to the tip of your toe. You want to do that? And I said, yes, sir. He said, go. I ran through that door, and boy, did I get a physical. You women Marines don't know what it's like. Well, everything went fine. He said, go home. In 2 weeks, I'll give you a call. Your folks will bring you down to the train station. We'll have a little ceremony, board the train, take off for San Diego, Hollywood, California. And that's what happened. Well, I got into a 2nd Anti-Tank Battalion after boot camp, and we went over to New Zealand, and we trained there. And then all of a sudden, we got word that they didn't really need us, because a lot of our half-tracks that bogged down in the islands at that time. Guadalcanal was on. So they sent us back to, I don't know if any of you people know where New Caledonia is. Well, I was at New Caledonia, and that camp is called, and you know, if there weren't ladies here, I'd tell you what it's called. But I'll call it Orphans Camp. And anybody could grab you was a lottery. Fortunately, they didn't grab me and about 12 others. We went to San Diego, formed the 5th Marine Division. This was President Roosevelt's prize project. Jimmy Roosevelt was my regimental commander. Until the old man called him to Washington, we never saw him after that. So Harry the Horse Liversedge, he became my regimental commander. Well, we trained, and I noticed something. Every time we raided something, it was a hill, a high hill or something. It was like a fortification, like back at Pendleton, out there in the boonies. And I carried a flamethrower, and I'm about an inch shorter then, and a few pounds lighter then, and I had that 72-pound flamethrower on my back. And I would raid that cave or the top of the hill. We'd go right up there and burn things up. I never got onto anything. Well, when we heard that we were going to go overseas and we're loading for bear, we took off on a transport. We wound up at Saipan, which was over, and as we pulled into Saipan, I looked at the island, and there were nothing but tails, big tails, B-29s all over that island. And the purpose of Iwo Jima was so that they could fly directly to Japan, unload, and come back. And if they were shot up, Iwo Jima would give them a place to land. And that's why we had to take Iwo Jima. That was the President's Prize Project, and Admiral Nimitz, my boss. Great admiral, great warrior, great leader. Well, we got all set. We got off a transport and boarded LSTs, small craft. And you ate topside and you slept topside on a blanket because half-tracks were down below. That's what we hit the beach with. One day out of Iwo Jima, I forgot to tell you this, nobody ever heard the name Iwo Jima. We never knew where we were going. It was never brought up. We always were so curious, where are we going? Nothing. One day out, a lieutenant came up. He brought a sample of Iwo Jima made out of clay, and he put it on the table. We all bunched around. Every LST had that. And we got around it, and he told us all about everything he knew. He said it's 8 square miles. We figured there's 22,000 Japanese on it. He said, our 3 divisions are going to take that island. He said, the 4th and the 5th will hit. The 3rd will remain aboard ship for reserve. So we got all that information. Then we had breakfast. For the first time in the Marine Corps, I got a steak And I got sunny side up eggs. Now, eggs was no problem if you didn't mind some hard rocks in your stomach. We're eating that steak and eggs, you know it. I said, what's with this? I said to a kid, what's wrong? What's going on with the steak? We never had steak in the Corps. He said, Graves, use your head. What do they do with convicts before they execute them? That's the kind of humor we had. I said, you're right. Never thought about that. All hands get down below, load your landing craft. And we went down. Now, you guys been aboard ship, you know what a gangway is. Straight down like that, 72 pounds. I got a man on my left and right, but one goes in front of me and one goes behind me. If I fall, I'm not going to get up. Got down that gangway, and here we come to the half track. How are we going to get in this thing? You're going right over the side. They reached down, picked me up, and pushed me right over. I went over for everything on me. Sat up next to the, walked up to the side, and we're heading around and around and around, and finally we got word to go in. We didn't want to stick our head up because it was crack, 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 crack overhead. Some of you know what that noise is. Got to the beach, he couldn't hit sand. He had to stay in the water. Okay, you jarheads, overboard. And oh my gosh, they boosted me up and shoved me right over in the water. I got up out of the water, spitting water out and everything. I had a bull of a watch my mother gave me. I got to take it off. It ruined it. Salt just ruined it. Well, we hit the beach. We were right tight next to one another. That beach was loaded with Marines who could not go over the top. If they did, they were dead. We could not move, and they knew it because 545 feet was Mount Suribachi, and they were right down on us. I lay there, face in the sand. I never went to church much. I never really knew God. I respected Him, but I didn't know Him. Well, I got to know Him there. I buried my face in the sand, and I looked around and I saw what was happening. And I says, God, I don't know much about you. But if you can do for me what people say you can do, and I've heard about it, if you get me off this island, I'll serve you the rest of my life. 6 weeks later, we got off. I hit the beach with close to 300 men. 6 weeks later, we got word we're going to be released by the 3rd Division. 18 of us walked down to the beach. No officers. And I loved my skipper. He was a great fighter, a great man. He was good. We got down to the beach, and the old man, regimental commander, my battalion commander Johnson, was killed. He's the one that gave the first flag to Schreier to take up the top of the mountain, put up. He caught 105 our own right behind him. Short round. Took the whole CP out. We were in bad shape. Now I got to tell you something, folks. You probably never heard this. 4 weeks of the 6th, the last 4, a bunch of teenage kids fought that war. And we made the decisions. We had no officers. People don't understand what we went through on that island. We had to make important decisions. I'm going to tell you a couple of, one will be funny, one's a little sad. Now, I can't never forget it. I just won't forget it. Well, the first one, we're heading towards the north. I got 2 machine gun squad leaders with me, and I had an assault squad. None of us have a squad anymore, so we fight together. Now you got to watch out for snipers during the day, hunker down, but you've got to find them. At nighttime they came at us, about 300-400. We'd kill most of them. Every night they do that. We're sitting in a foxhole, excuse me, Air Force made the best doggone custom-made foxholes a Marine ever crawled into. Enough for 3 men. Look at her applauding back there. Here we are, we're sitting there, quiet, and I'm looking for snipers. Up on the ground. Can you imagine? Just like this. Nothing. dropped back down and got on the walkie-talkie. I said, yo, CP, Graves, yeah, go ahead. I said, no snipers, no sign of them? I'll just keep looking every now and then. Graves, you got a replacement coming. He'll be there in 10 minutes. I said, 10-4. I hung the phone up. 10 minutes later, this kid rolled over in the hole. He said, who's Graves? I said, I am. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, sit down over there. There'll be a lot to do this evening. I took the glasses, and I'm going to get up to his Graves. Let me take a look. I said, no, you get yourself killed. One of my buddies says, give him the glasses. That's what he's here for. I threw him the glasses. He crawled right up next to me where I had been. Now that sniper knew me. He was waiting for me to get up the next time. He had me focused right in. We're talking, the three of us. He fell back. His helmet fell off, and it spun between my feet. And when it stopped, I looked down on that helmet. We were stunned. I saw a beautiful girl sitting in a chair, and on her lap I saw a beautiful baby. I lost it. I jumped up, took everything off I had on me, raised my fist in the air. Listen to this, please. Curse this island. Curse the Marine Corps. Curse God. That's a terrible thing. Never thinking about the pledge I made on that beach. But he got up, slapped me in the face, threw me in the ground. I lay there for a while, got reported this kid had gotten shot. We're moving. We went to another hole. There's a little something that goes around all over, and it's a little thing that I told about. I have a plaque, and down below they put the quotation. One night we were sitting there, you know, a bunch of kids, we never drank much coffee. We drank hot chocolate with the D, remember the D bars, ration bars? Dice them babies up, make hot chocolate. So I said, I feel like hot chocolate. To our buddy, so make enough for all of us. I said, okay, I made it. And it began to simmer. And all of a sudden, it was quiet. Hey, Marine, very good chocolatto. You bring chocolatto here. I said, if you want chocolate, you come here and get it. Oh, no, you bring here. That's the kind of humor we had once in a while. I'd sing a song. We didn't care anymore. We didn't think we were going to get off the island. I happened to stick my head up. We hadn't had our Corsairs, no support from the air at all, for about 3 or 4 days. And I got my head up like to look down the beach. The Navy's gone. 500 ships are gone. They went to Okinawa, which we didn't know about. Well, I said, fellas, this is our home. Why? Take a look. And they dropped back down the hole. Well, we got word from the old man, Harry Liversedge, that we're going to be replaced by the 3rd Division. This is the last week, 6 weeks. We got up and we marched down by our cemetery at the foot of Mount Suribachi. There were three cemeteries. Ours was at the base of Mount Suribachi. He met us at the gate. He said, man, I want you to go through that cemetery and I want you to say goodbye to your buddies and your officers. We said, yes, sir. We lined up the rest of the division and we marched through. And I noticed every Marine that went through that gate looked like this, and a piece of paper was nailed to the left arch. So when I got there, this is what I read. I will never forget it. Fellas, when you go home, tell the folks we did our best, that they may have many more tomorrows. Ladies and gentlemen, I say this wherever I go, everywhere. All of you have enjoyed those many more tomorrows because a bunch of dumb, stupid kids walked out of school and joined the war. That's the kind of greatest generation we were, and I'm proud of it. And I'll say it again, I'm proud of that flag. I'm proud of my country, and I am fed up and I am sick of what our politicians are doing to our country, especially one jackass. I tell you, I'm really upset over it. And that's what I talk about depending where I go. But you know, I will never forget the Marine Corps. It was part of my life, young life. It was 4 years, not much. But I was homesick. All of us were homesick. A lot of us said, well, why didn't you stay in the Corps and make a career? Heck, we left at 17. We want to go back to our family. And I had 2 or 3 girlfriends that I liked. Well, you know what I got there? They married 4 effers. They married 4 effers. It was terrible. Do that to a veteran. I got to explain something to you. During the war, how many of you, I know some of you, but how many of you remember Kate Smith? Yeah. A great American and one of the greatest singers we ever had. She said to Irving Berlin, songwriter, she had a beautiful big musical show on the radio during the war. And she said, Irving, the American people are ready for another patriotic song. He says, Kate, I'll see what I can do. He went home. A couple of days later, he gave her this song. It was called God Bless America, our other patriotic song. And she introduced that song over the air. And she hits the highest note I've ever heard on that song. You got a phone. Sometime when you're relaxed, get on the internet. Just hit Kate Smith. That's all you have to do. And listen to her sing that song. But I'm going to try and sing it now, and I need your support to sing it. Will you please stand and sing with me? God bless America. What'd you say? What did you say? I said, God bless America.
God bless America.
Hoorah!
Hoorah!
Let me hear that again.
Hoorah!
Yeah, that's good. You all sound like corpsmen. You all sound like Marines. And if you weren't, I'd be ashamed. Sing with me, will you? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, wide before. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you. God bless you.
Stand here for just a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions? Uh-oh, here comes the MC.
Grab that little box.
I'm fired.
I'm not going to reach into your pocket. I'm just kidding.
Watch it, bud.
I wasn't a Marine, so I'll just.
Any questions?
Because this guy's not working.
Okay, Kelly.
What did you do when you got out of the Corps?
I'm going to need you up, and you're going to have to tell me what they say. My hearing is not that
She said, "Tell me again.
What did you do when you got out of the Corps?
What'd you do after the Corps?"
After the Corps, I never had a full-time job because I never had a full-time job. I just never had a full-time job. We were kids, you know. Went to Henry Ford's, went to Dodge, I went to Chrysler. I hated it. I hated to work in a factory. Went to Nash Calculator Refrigerator. That was better. Young veterans took that place over after the war. It was a new plant. And I worked there about 2 years. I just wasn't happy being inside. And I was starting to sing quite a bit. I'd sing for weddings, funerals, whatever. And I really was searching for something. And we moved to Wisconsin to see a Marine buddy of mine. And they put me to work in that place. And that was a good area. We lived right in half a block from Lake Winnebago. Walleye pike, bluegill, perch, you name it, bass, sturgeon at wintertime, spear them through a hole. Great place to sports, fish. They had the Green Bay Packers 30 miles away. The Packers in that day worked in the paper mills. They didn't make big salaries. Well, what else do I want to say? Oh, answer to your question?
No, continue for 37 years.
What did you do for 37 years?
For 37 years?
That's what she said.
Well, I'll say for 32 years, I was a preacher in the Word of God. I had 5 churches and I lived in 5 states. I wound up in Tucson, Arizona, and I was 82 years old and my wife turned real ill, real bad. My daughter lived here with her husband. So I called her up and she said, Dad, I've been there twice. I can't afford to fly back and forth and neither can you fly me. I said, that's true. She said, you're going to have to come to Texas. I said, what? Texas? I'm from Michigan. You would love it here. I said, I don't know. Well, I guess I have no choice. I've got to come. So I packed up, brought my wife there. Folks, I've lived here 15 years. I'll die here. This is the greatest state I've ever lived in. It's still patriotic. And by gosh, we need to protect it. We need to take care of it, or we're going to lose it. We've got to do it. Alan West is my buddy, and he's trying his best. I hope that he gets what he wants. Any other questions?
I have one.
All right.
So I get to preempt all other questions. Hang on, Bill. How long after the war did you start telling your story?
What'd you say?
How long? How long?
You know, I never did it. Oh gosh. I did a lot of nightclub singing, in 2 or 3 night stands. I sang for a lot of weddings, funerals, and in those days you got $15, you know, which was pretty good then, you know. And I don't know, it just got to where I met a few Marine buddies of mine, and I just worked into patriotic singing. Then all of a sudden, I moved here, and then it really opened up. I don't know if you remember Laura Leppard, Tom Leppard's wife, used to be mayor of Dallas. She found Daughters of World War II. And I teamed up with her, and we went all over. We went to Hawaii, went to Iwo and back, and I sang and spoke. So finally it got so much of a demand that I had to leave her because she had her work to do. And we've been good friends since, but both of us are busy, and that's where it started. Yeah. I got to tell you, normally I wouldn't brag about it, but I'm so proud of it. General Mad, remember Mad Dog Marines?
Oh, yeah.
I know him personally. He's a good friend of mine. We were at a Cowtown Warrior Ball. He and I joked around and talked and got acquainted. Then Donald Trump called him to be his Secretary of Defense. Donald Trump sends me a birthday letter last May. Beautiful letter. And I got to think, my kid said, Dad, how does he know who you are? I have no idea. Then it dawned on me, Mad Dog. That's what happened.
You know,
All
people
right.
tell Mad Dog he looks like me.
Huh?
People tell Mad Dog he looks like me.
Mad Dog?
Yeah. Mattis. Yeah. They say he looks
You
like
ain't going to make it.
Bill, question.
Sir, you answered my question, and I appreciate it very much, and I'd like for you to know that God appreciates you very much.
God appreciates you very much, he said.
God appreciates me.
That's what he said.
Turn that around. I appreciate him. He led in my life, and he still is, and I meet the best friends in the world. I got a couple here right now. I can't tell you about one. I'm going to tell you. I won't say who it is. We were over at the Motor Speedway in the motel there. They had a big program. They asked me to come and speak and sing, and I did. So finally, when I got acquainted before it started, I said, "Who's the MC here?" They said, "She is." Oh, and I walked over. She saw me coming. She says, "Hi, Don." I said, "I don't know you." "Oh, yes, you do. You did that to me." I said, "What?" "Yes, you did." "Where?" "Tap in." "Grapevine." "Well, I go to the Tap In." But I don't remember that. And that's the end of that story. Now curiosity's killing you, isn't it?
Are high schools fortunate enough to hear you speak? Do you go to high schools to speak?
Do you speak at high schools?
Love to. Grapevine is my home. High school. Good kids, good teachers, good administration. But I spoke the other day at, is it Albernog, where the lake, is that where the lake is?
I don't know.
Alita. Alita.
That's it. There's a high school there. You won't believe this. We have roll call, and we meet every last Friday of the month. We feed 350 people, Marines and their caregivers, etc., and so forth. And I was asked if I would go there and speak. Her daughter was a teacher there, and I did. The first class, these are 2 senior groups ready for graduation. They all sat in front of me. I got 2 buddies that came with me. And I spoke. And here they are. Nothing. No movement. No emotion. No laugh. No nothing. I quit. I stopped right there. The second group was the same way. She's standing in the back. After it was over, my buddies came up and says, "Don, what the heck happened? You gave me everything you had." I said, "I know it." She came over to me and she said, "Don, I want to apologize. I never thought they would do that." I said, "This school's got a problem." She said, "I know we do." And that's what's going on, folks. It's not the kids' fault. It's the system. It's the system. It's not fair. Any other questions?
Just a comment. They filmed the original Kate Smith singing "God Bless America." It's on YouTube.
He said Kate Smith, you can watch her on YouTube, the original.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep.
One more in the back.
Did you have any struggles between the time you got out of the Marine Corps and the time you started preaching?
Transition struggles between the Marine Corps and preaching?
I was waiting for something like that to come up, especially today. You know, I spoke at probably 85, 95, paraplegic, arms off, legs off, etc. I feel sorry for those kids, what the government has done to them. And they did their best. And the end result, we all know. I sat on the stage, then I got up to speak. And these guys are all together, and they're leaning. They're crying on one another's shoulder. And so I talked, and I said, the only way you can make it, I'm all right, I'm in excellent health, but I'm telling you, the only way you can make it is pull up your bootstraps if you can, and go from there. No one's going to care. You've got to look out for yourself. Nobody cares. They don't understand. And they all applauded. I feel sorry for them. God forbid that would ever happen again. And I feel sorry for those 13 Marines we lost. And listen, Marines, for the first time in history, 2 women were killed in combat because they got caught in it. Yep. I'm mad. Anything? Was that it?
I think that's it. I have a coin that I would like to give you. It's our GallantFew, our veteran networks. We believe in self-training and responsibility. So let's, Zach's going to take a picture of us.
Got it.
He's the human Zoom.
I need this. I've only got a half a dozen.
I bet you don't have any plans at all. Yeah. You know, I believe your whole story except the part about you being able to sing.